We're going to cover the things that you need to look out for and the things that you need to act on quickly when doing property investing. Hello, my name's Mark Fitzgerald and it's fantastic to have you joining me here today. So, what do I look for when property investing and how do I want to act when I'm out there? These are things that I get asked all the time where people are looking to do all the different strategies there are to do in property investing. Now, I specialise in rent to rent, but I also have all the tools in my head to be able to do all sorts of different deals. I've done purchase lease options as well, and I'm looking at building up my own portfolio as we speak. So I'm out there all the time. I'm looking at deals and I'm looking at possible investment opportunities. So what do I look for when I get out there? Well, the one thing I would say is when you're going to look at a property, do a bit of research before you get there. Have a bit of an understanding about how much the property sold for when it was last sold. Now, if it's sold recently, Rightmove or whatever portals that you're looking at properties on will be there. A Google search might tell you this as well. But the things are, you need to know how much it was sold for. You also want to be looking at other properties in the area. Now, if you're looking to do rent to rent, look at how much it's been rented for. What different portals it's potentially been on before. Again, another Google search can potentially find old adverts that maybe letting agents had it on for, or maybe even the landlord themselves had it on for. But get a bit of an understanding before you walk into the property of how much, i.e. it's worth, or how much the rents were worth and everything. I would try and put the whole package together. Even when doing a rent to rent, I still want to know how much the property is worth. I want to know what the rents are or currently are. I also want to know how much properties are selling for in that area, and if it's an area that will suit what I want to do with the property. So you can look for what else is there and what else has been sold for. But make sure you do a bit of homework before you go and do the viewings, because in many cases, if you can find an old sales page where the property was there, even if you're doing rent to rent, you can find potentially a floor plan. And that's priceless, because all of a sudden you can look at the floor plan, you can see how many rooms it is, potentially old pictures. Yeah, the old pictures will give you an idea maybe of the layout. So when you walk in there, you can see whether it's had an uplift, whether it's been converted, whether it's been changed, whether the floor plans pretty much marry up with what you've seen. And you've got an idea of what you're walking into before you walk into it. And that can be priceless. You know, when you're talking to an agent and you're talking about properties that are potentially sold in the area or let in the area, you know, we can add this to either. It can be the prices either way. You know, when you're there talking to the agent, you can say, oh, this property was last sold for 180 grand. They might say, oh yeah, it was. Or they might say, oh, really? Well, you know, when was that? You know, you might know more than them, and all of a sudden that puts you that little bit higher, particularly if you're talking to landlords and things and you know what you're saying. Don't be cocky with it, but go in there and have that knowledge. You don't even have to tell them you've got that knowledge. You can ask them a question if you're building up the trust and say, you know, when did you buy the property? Or when was the property last sold? And if they can't tell you that, or they say something that doesn't tally up with what you found, then you know all of a sudden, potentially these people aren't going to be honest about other things as well. Obviously do your homework on that, because things aren't always as clear cut online as they should be, but make sure that you're quite happy with how the conversation's going and the knowledge that you have when you get there. You see, as property investors, we need to be able to act quickly. At the moment, the market is booming. It's a very quick market. So whether that's rentals or whether that's buying, you need to be able to stack these deals quickly. Now, when I say stack these deals, it's knowing the numbers. Is the deal a deal? Because as I always say, a deal is not a deal unless it's a deal. I see far too many people in property just trying to grab different deals, whether it's trying to purchase, whether it's trying to do rent to rent, whether it's trying to do a PLO. They're just trying to grab all of these different things just to grab property, and they're getting themselves into bad deals. Now, you could do a deal potentially 3 years ago, and then all of a sudden that deal's not stacking up as well as it was now. That's fine. That's what happens. But if you go straight into it and you do a bad deal, then that's just bad business. And that's not what it's all about here. That's not what I teach my students. Certainly not. And that's not what I want to see anybody be doing, particularly yourself. So make sure that you know how to stack a deal. Now, I have a deal analyzing spreadsheet that you can download. Most people will charge you for this. I offer it to you for free. You'll see a link for that in the show notes, or you can visit www.thepropertyunleashed.com and download it there. There's also a viewings guide and a 10-step how to start your rent-to-rent business guide as well. So those are freebies that I put out there to try and help people to make sure that they can stack deals and they know what they're doing. So if I was you, and this is what I did, and this is why I'm saying it, I would go out there, I would download that. It's not going to cost you a bean. And then start looking at deals and start stacking deals. Practice. Before you actually get to the main event, as I like to call it, when you're in front of a vendor or you're in front of a letting agent, go out there, stack some deals and practice getting the ROI right and making sure that you know your numbers work and what numbers work. Because what you'll find is the more you use a spreadsheet to sort of stack deals and practice, the more when you're actually feet on the ground outside of a property, you can look at that and know whether it's going to be a good deal that's going to suit you or not. I can stand outside a property pretty much doing my own homework and know whether a deal is going to stack and pretty much what I can offer on that deal as well before I've even really spoken to anybody. Then it's about asking probing questions to find out whether the deal actually works the way that you think it's going to work. But if you're going in there completely blind, and we all do to begin with, so don't worry about that. This does take practice. But start practicing stacking deals behind your desk, sat on your computer and just practice a few deal stacking opportunities that you're seeing on the market and see whether they do stack up or not. And you'd be actually surprised. You might even find some deals or some properties that stack on your deal analyzer, and you can go and view these and then practice again. And if there are opportunities and leads that you don't want, then you can reach out to other people and see if they found any leads for them, in which case they may return the favor to you. So if you've never actually viewed a property before and you're a little bit daunted by this, why not walk around your own property and practice with a bit of paper just to make notes on different things? Do your own sort of house audit, or go to a family or friend's house and just say, can I just practice having a little look around your house as if it was a viewing? Doesn't hurt. It's all good practice. And you might say, well, that's just silly, Mark. Why would I even bother doing that? I can walk around my own house. Or, if you don't live in a house, if you live in a flat, and you're going to be walking around HMOs and things like that, then start doing some viewings as well. Do some viewings that potentially you would go to as the tenant, let's say, and see how other people do their viewings, get an idea for it and start looking at things as well. There's no law that says that we can't go and view properties. I wouldn't waste too many people's time, but the odd one or two here, just to get yourself out there, just to get used to doing viewings, looking at things and stuff and asking questions, is good. It's good practice, and it's also good for you to start building up rapport with potentially vendors or potentially different letting agents or estate agents. Okay, that's what they're there for. And if you are getting into property and you're serious about getting into property, then you need to be going out there and talking to these people and doing viewings anyway. So there's no harm in that. As I say, try not to waste people's time massively, but the odd viewing here to get you started, to get your foot through the door, I don't see any harm in that whatsoever. Because most of this will just boil up to the fact that you want to be the expert in your area. You want to be the expert of whatever it is you're looking for. If you're looking for rent-to-rent deals, you need to know exactly the criteria that you're looking for. Are you looking for HMOs? Are you looking for flats? Are you looking for bed terrace? If you're looking for HMOs, then that's fine. If you're looking for, 3 2-bed houses, terraced houses or flats, and you're looking at doing serviced accommodation into those sort of things, then that's fine as well. You may even be wanting to look at country homes, something that stands out, something that's a little bit different to do, serviced accommodation on. Because the market is getting flooded with people just converting flats and small properties. There's a lot more, I think, of a boom and a lot more stability in serviced accommodation. If you have a unit that's maybe a little bit different, that somebody can potentially come with, a few friends. You don't want a party house, although people are now setting up party houses exactly for that. But I wouldn't recommend that. But something that can be quite big, that maybe a family or a get-together, a reunion or something like that can go to and just go and enjoy. Obviously, it's more expensive to go through, so deposits cost more, and you have to make sure you do all the relevant checks. But again, there's lots of different properties that you can go out there and start looking at. You don't just have to typecast yourself to one type of property. As I said, I work with my students and I work on a one-to-one level with a few students as well. We look at the different types of properties that suit their areas, and we look at what strategies we can implement and we can get them going so that they are a little bit different, maybe a cut above the rest, I like to say, but maybe just not doing what everybody else is running around there doing. I offer that bespoke service to people, and I find it really, really helps, and that's what I look for myself as well. So make sure you're the expert in your area. Go and get that free deal analyzing spreadsheet and download that and start playing with it. As I say, it's free. So, in the show notes or on my website, get in there, download that, start stacking deals, see what stacks for you. You can also stack in there into the deal analyzer about refurbishments and things. So you can play with all sorts of numbers. And it can really, really help. And that's one of the things that I used to do when I was starting out. And like I say, now I can walk into a property, pretty much know the numbers, as long as I've done my research beforehand and not had to just rush over and have a little look. But even then, when you're coming back, even if you've had to do that and you haven't had a chance to do any homework on it, you know what you're looking for, you know what you're asking, the questions and everything, and you know what you want to take away from the viewing. And then when you come back, you can run through the system that you use for that. Now, if you want to know my system, if you want me to do a video on that, that's fine. Leave a question in the comments or something like that. And I'm more than happy to put together a video that shows you exactly what I would look for, potentially even do a screen share, show you how I do things and help you in that manner. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I look forward to joining you in the next video. You'll take care and bye for now.